The Vols won in the Sweet 16 against Creighton on Friday night, but UT had to do it without one of their starting players. Our sports team tells us the latest on Santiago Vescovi.
Tennessee men's basketball trying to get to their first ever Final Four in program history. Karthik Venkataraman, Frank DeLuca here. And Frank, if the Vols want to do it with this team, they got to get past the Midwest regional top seed in Purdue.
Yeah, Final Four, very unfamiliar territory for the Tennessee team that has never been there. But against a familiar opponent, they went up against Purdue back in November in Honolulu, and foul trouble definitely doomed Tennessee in that one.
Yeah, a big reason why is because Zach Edey's on the Purdue Boilermakers, and he's the back-to-back National Player of the Year. The guy's a beast. He's 7'4", and he really does his work well in the paint. And he gets fouled a lot, and he's really good at scoring inside. These are things Tennessee's got to do better. Jonas Adu, Tobe Awaka both fouled out of that first game against Purdue. I heard from Jonas Adu, who said he's maybe a little starstruck and a little nervous going into that game with the Maui Invitational being such a prestigious tournament. But they got to play better. They didn't play enough minutes, and, you know, they're going to need that inside presence because the Vols are best when they also have their inside presence with the rest of the surrounding guys around the perimeter.
Yeah, and you mentioned those nerves. That's something that's not as much of a problem for this Tennessee team in March compared to November. Confidence is something that has only grown for them throughout the year. You know, they win the SEC outright title. They go up against some great teams and play well and get wins in a lot of those matchups. So I think that's something that's going to favor them a lot more than it did back in November because they know they can win these games. They know they can compete with anybody, and they believe that they can win.
A guy who's raised his confidence a lot, Zakai Ziegler. You know, early on in the season, he wasn't still back up to full speed after tearing his ACL the season prior. He was just kind of getting into the mix, really getting the games and the season under his belt. He wasn't full strength. He's a completely different player now than he was then. This is a guy who wins SEC Defensive Player of the Year, but also, you know, if he had the stats throughout the entire year, probably would have been an All-American selection. I mean, he is one of the best point guards in the country. He's going to want to make his statement made here too.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting matchup because Purdue is not just Zach Edey. The last time these teams played, it was Fletcher Lawyer that actually led the Boilermakers in scoring. He had 27, Edey had 23. So I think this matchup is going to be so intriguing, and a lot is going to be on the line because the Vols are looking for their first Final Four appearance in history, but Purdue hasn't been there since 1980.
And a lot of this is for Rick Barnes. You know, a lot of criticism has come his way ever since he's been on Rocky Talk about not getting the job done. See if the Vols can get the job done for him. Rick Barnes can get the job done when Tennessee takes on Purdue Sunday at 2:20 p.m. Back to you all.